The shift had been abrupt, violent even, tearing Cal Kestis from the familiar grit of an asteroid field to a dizzying whirl of green. One moment, the cold, stark reality of a stolen freighter's cockpit. The next, a breath stolen by an overwhelming burst of sensations. He'd landed, or rather, materialized, on soft, damp grass under the glow of a moon impossibly larger than anything he knew. The air, thick with the scent of damp earth and something sweet he couldn't place, thrummed with an energy unlike the Force, wilder, less structured, yet profoundly powerful. Magic. Hogwarts. The castle loomed before him, a silhouette of impossible towers and turrets against the bruised purple sky. It was a monolith of ancient stone, steeped in history that even Cal, with his burgeoning psychometry, struggled to comprehend. Every single block, every archway, seemed to hum with an unseen, unheard song. He had felt a pull, a subtle but insistent force signature, a deep and troubling discord emanating from the castle. It was why he was here, inexplicably drawn, a moth to a dangerously potent flame. He'd spent the first few days of Phantom, cloaked by forced discretion and the sheer chaos of hundreds of excitable young wizards. He learned quickly that invisibility cloaks were real, that food appeared as if by magic on great tables, and that flying brooms were a common mode of transport. It was a world entirely alien, devoid of the familiar hum of starship engines or the precise readouts of a datapad. His holocron felt cold against his skin, a lonely relic of a life that felt impossibly distant. Cal had managed to slip into the student body, a quiet new transfer from some vaguely named remote European school, an orphan whose parents had mysteriously vanished. The headmaster, a towering man with a long silver beard and eyes that seemed to twinkle with knowing secrets, had placed him in Ravenclaw. It suited Cal's need for observation and access to knowledge, even if he understood only half of what the professors spouted about charms and transfiguration. He spent most of his time in the library, not for academic pursuit, but for information on the castle itself, its legends, its hidden corners. The Force had never been quiet for Cal, but here, it was a constant roar. The latent magic of Hogwarts was like 1,000 voices singing, some joyous, some mournful, some utterly ancient and terrifying. And beneath it all, a sinister whisper, a growing darkness that twisted the very fabric of the castle's Force presence. It was what had dragged him here, an echo of the very evil he had fought his whole life, cloaked in unfamiliar power. He walked the torchlit corridors, a shadow among the chattering students, his senses constantly scanning. His hand often drifted to the hilt of his lightsaber, hidden deep within his robes, a comforting weight even though he knew its plasma blade would be an incomprehensible anomaly here. He felt disoriented, isolated, a Jedi Padawan marooned on a world that defied all logic. But the dark presence, that was real. It felt like the lingering shadow of the Inquisitors, only colder, deeper, infused with a raw, ancient hatred. Then came the fear. It started subtly, a ripple of unease through the Force, like a stone dropped into still water. Whispers spread, nervous glances exchanged. Cal felt the students' apprehension, the teachers' veiled concern. He learned of a chamber of secrets and a legend of a monster. His Force sense flared, confirming that the darkness he felt was indeed tied to this ancient secret. He was on his way back from the library, the scent of old parchment clinging to him, when the first real wave of panic hit. A group of students ahead of him had frozen, their faces pale, their eyes wide with terror. He quickened his pace, his Jedi training kicking in, moving silently and swiftly. The scene was bathed in the sickly yellow glow of torches. Filch, the caretaker, stood rigid, his face contorted in a silent scream, eyes fixed on his beloved cat, Mrs. Norris. She hung suspended from a torch bracket, stiff as a board, her eyes wide, staring, utterly lifeless. Beside her, scrawled in what looked suspiciously like blood, were the words, "The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware." A cold dread seeped into the Force, chilling Cal to his core. This was it. The source of the discord was making itself known. He felt a faint, lingering trace of something alien, a residue of profound malice around the petrified cat. It felt like a predator's mark. He pushed through the growing crowd, attempting to seem like any other curious student, but his mind raced. He sensed no physical wound on the cat, no obvious cause of death. Yet, the life was gone. He reached out with the force, carefully, trying to decipher the lingering echoes. He felt a burst of terror from Mrs. Norris, a sudden, overwhelming paralysis, and then, nothing. Only the cold, dead stillness. The castle buzzed with panicked whispers for days. Then, a second attack. This time, a student. Colin Creevey, a first-year Gryffindor, found in a corridor, camera clutched in his hand, eyes wide and petrified, just like the cat. This was his chance. Cal feigned a trip to the latrines, ducking away from the main flow of students, drawn by the residual force disturbance. He found the cordoned-off corridor, already swarming with faculty and the prefects trying to keep students back. He used the force to enhance his agility, slipping past a distracted Professor McGonagall and a blustering Gilderoy Lockhart, feeling the ripple of their magic as he darted between them. He reached the spot where Colin lay, still and stiff, surrounded by a faint, shimmering aura of residual magic. No one had touched the boy since he'd been found, and that was good. Cal knelt, pretending to peer at the strange substance on the wall that had terrified the boy. His hand brushed against a small, Gryffindor red scarf that had fallen from Colin's neck, half hidden beneath his stiff arm. Touch. Feel. See. The psychometry flared, a blinding flash of overwhelming sensations. Cal gasped, sucking in a breath, his vision blurring, the sounds of the corridor fading into a roaring torrent in his ears. He wasn't in the corridor anymore. He was Colin Creevey, or rather, he felt Colin's terror, the boy's eager excitement at seeing Harry Potter, then the sudden, bone-chilling cold that washed over him. A sound, a slithering, rasping sound that grew louder, closer. A shadow, impossibly vast, coiling in the gloom of the corridor. Two enormous, glowing yellow eyes, burning with an ancient, venomous hatred, snapping into view, paralyzing him not with fear, but with a terrifying, absolute stasis. He felt his blood freeze, his muscles lock, his mind scream. But it wasn't just the creature. Beneath the primal fear, beneath the image of serpentine scales and burning eyes, was a colder, more insidious presence. A faint, almost imperceptible whisper in his mind, echoing with a chilling, arrogant amusement. It wasn't the monster that spoke, but something controlling it, a consciousness ancient and hateful, brimming with contempt for those it deemed unworthy. The whisper spoke of purity, of cleansing, of Slytherin's will. The vision abruptly shattered, throwing Cal back into his own body. He gasped again, clutching the scarf, his head swimming, the corridor seeming to spin around him. He quickly released the fabric, feigning a stumble, his heart hammering against his ribs. He pushed himself up, his eyes darting around, making sure no one had noticed his momentary lapse. His face felt clammy, his hands trembled slightly. The images replayed in his mind, the colossal serpent, its petrifying gaze, and the chilling, malevolent intelligence that lurked behind it. This wasn't just a beast. This was a weapon, wielded by a mind steeped in the deepest, most ancient darkness. Salazar Slytherin. The name reverberated in his mind, the echo of the psychometry vision merging with the whisper of the creature's handler. Cal backed away from the scene, blending back into the edge of the crowd, his mind reeling. This world, with its strange magic and whimsical charm, held a darkness as profound as anything the Empire had conjured. A monster that petrified, and a dark will that commanded it, twisting history and preying on the innocent. His Jedi training demanded he act. His psychometry had not only shown him the danger, but hinted at the manipulator. He had seen the truth, glimpsed the ancient evil at play. He had to understand it, expose it, and stop it. Cal Kestis, a Jedi Padawan on the run, had just found his new purpose. And he knew, with chilling certainty, that the true fight for Hogwarts was only just beginning. The lingering chill of the stone floor seemed to seep into Cal's very bones, a physical manifestation of the dread that still clung to him. Justin Finch Fletchley's scarf, now released from his grip, lay innocently on the ground, yet its touch had opened a terrifying window. He'd seen it, not just the petrification, but the shadow behind it, a serpentine whisper that slithered through the ancient stones, fueled by an ancient, venomous hatred. He leaned against the cold corridor wall, trying to steady his breath. The force, usually a comforting hum, now pulsed with a frantic warning. Hogwarts, with its majestic spires and echoing halls, was a prison, not just for him, but for a darkness far older than the Empire. This wasn't some Sith Lord or Imperial Inquisitor. This was something different, something born of fear and prejudice, woven into the very fabric of this world's power. Heir of Slytherin, the whisper had echoed in his mind, purge the unworthy. The words resonated with a sickening familiarity, the rhetoric of superiority, the drive to eliminate those deemed lesser. Cal had heard it from the mouths of Imperial officers, seen it in the destructive path of the Empire. Here, it wore a different guise, but the core evil was the same. He couldn't stand by. He wouldn't. Not again. His isolation in this strange world had been a shield, a means of survival. But the Force wasn't allowing him to hide anymore. It demanded action. It compelled him to understand. He needed to trace the source of this darkness, to understand the roots of Salazar Slytherin's hatred that still poisoned the air centuries later. The next few days were a blur of furtive exploration, a hunt for answers masked by the routine of classes he barely understood. Cal found himself gravitating towards the older, less trodden parts of the castle, his hand brushing against worn tapestries depicting medieval battles and mythical beasts, old suits of armor gathering dust in forgotten alcoves, and the rough-hewn stones of the foundational walls. Each touch was a gamble, a potential plunge into another overwhelming vision, but he couldn't stop. He needed clarity. He found echoes of the other founders first, the robust camaraderie of Gryffindor, the patient wisdom of Hufflepuff, the boundless curiosity of Ravenclaw. Their magic, even in faded memories, felt vibrant, purposeful, benevolent. Then came the chilling counterpoint. He touched a section of a deep-set stone archway near the dungeons, the very air around it seeming to grow heavier. The world tilted. A proud, severe man with piercing dark eyes, cloaked in emerald green. He stood apart from the others, his posture rigid. Whispers of dissent, of purity. A glimpse into a chamber, vast, dark, with colossal stone serpents rearing. He heard a snarl, a guttural command in a language that felt like cold scales slithering over his mind, then a creature's blinding speed, its venomous intent. Fear. Paranoia. They are not like us. They will corrupt our legacy. They will dilute our power. The words, though ancient, thrummed with a visceral hatred that made Cal's stomach clench. He saw the division growing, the arguments escalating. The other founders, their faces etched with disappointment and concern, trying to reason with an immovable conviction. Finally, a retreat. Slytherin walking away, not defeated, but resolute, his gaze fixed on a hidden passage. My legacy will endure. My true heir will cleanse this place. Cal pulled his hand away, gasping, leaning against the cold stone, the oppressive weight of Slytherin's bigotry still clinging to him like spectral slime. He understood now. The chamber wasn't just a place, it was a testament to an ideology, a weapon forged from fear and discrimination, left to awaken by an heir who shared the same twisted vision. The creature was merely an extension of that hatred. He knew he couldn't tackle this alone. Dumbledore, with his cryptic pronouncements and knowing glances, seemed to sense something about Cal, but his approach was too indirect, too subtle. Cal needed someone who could bridge the gap between his Force-derived insights and this world's magical realities. Someone who knew the lore, who understood the whispers of the castle in a way he never could. His search for historical context inevitably led him to the Hogwarts library, a sprawling labyrinth of shelves that dwarfed even the Jedi archives. He wandered through the ancient texts, eyes scanning for any mention of the Chamber of Secrets, Salazar Slytherin, or any unusual events tied to the castle's past. It was in a secluded corner, tucked away behind towering stacks of dusty tomes on ancient runes and arithmancy, that he first noticed her. A girl, perhaps a year or two older than him, with intelligent, observant eyes framed by dark hair that fell messily around her face. She was Alara Vance, a Ravenclaw, as evidenced by the blue and bronze trim of her robes. She was hunched over a particularly thick, leather-bound book, muttering to herself, a quill poised over a roll of parchment. She seemed to exist in her own world, oblivious to her surroundings, yet something about her stillness, her intense focus, drew Cal's attention. He'd seen her before, darting between shelves, a familiar fixture in the restricted section where he often found himself, drawn by a feeling, a faint echo of forgotten knowledge. She was always alone, always reading. He watched her for a moment, sensing a quiet intensity, a hunger for understanding that mirrored his own. Gathering his courage, Cal approached the table she occupied, picking up a seemingly random book on ancient wizarding families, using it as a prop. "Excuse me," he said, his voice a low rumble, practiced at not drawing attention. "Do you know if there are any histories of Hogwarts that discuss its earliest conflicts?" Alara didn't startle, merely raised her head slowly, her eyes, the color of deep moss, assessing him with an unnerving precision. She studied him for a long moment, making him feel as though she was seeing through his carefully constructed facade. "Conflicts," she repeated, her voice quiet but clear. "The founders had their disagreements, of course. Slytherin's departure is the most famous." She gestured vaguely to a shelf nearby. "You'll find the standard accounts there. Nothing too enlightening, mostly hagiographies." Cal moved a little closer, lowering his voice further. "I'm looking for something more. The reason for the conflict. The intent behind it." He chose his words carefully, trying to hint at his unique perception without revealing his psychometry. "I've had a strong impression that there was something deeply unsettling at the heart of Slytherin's beliefs. Something darker than just a preference for purebloods." Alara's eyes narrowed, a flicker of something like intrigued recognition in their depths. She closed her book, placing her quill down deliberately. "Most people take the official version as gospel," she said, leaning forward slightly. "Slytherin wanted only purebloods. The others disagreed." He left. End of story. But if you dig deeper, if you read between the lines. She paused, watching him intently. "You sense it too, don't you? That there's more to it?" Cal nodded, a wave of relief washing over him. He wasn't alone. "I've felt a pervasive fear. A fear of outsiders. Of things that are different. A belief that purity must be maintained at any cost, even through violence." Alara's gaze sharpened. "Yes, precisely. The texts hint at a level of xenophobia that goes beyond simple snobbery. A visceral terror of dilution, of unclean blood. I've been researching the old laws, the obscure curses, the prejudices that existed in that era. Salazar Slytherin wasn't just an elitist. He was a fundamentalist. And he left something behind to continue his work." She tapped the cover of her current book. "This one is a treatise on ancient charms of containment. I've been wondering how something like the Chamber of Secrets could remain hidden for so long, and how it could be reactivated." "It's not just magic keeping it hidden," Cal murmured, thinking of the forced signatures he'd felt, the residual emotional charge. "It's a powerful conviction. A will that spans centuries." "A will," Alara echoed, chewing on the word. "Like an enchantment imbued with a singular, dark purpose. I've found references to a student who opened the chamber 50 years ago. A boy named Tom Riddle. But the details are suspiciously vague. He was lauded for catching the culprit. It doesn't sit right with me." Cal's blood ran cold. Tom Riddle. The name resonated with a sinister familiarity, though he couldn't place it. "What do you know about this Tom Riddle?" Alara flipped open a notebook filled with precise, elegant script. "Fifth-year prefect, a model student. Supposedly caught Hagrid and his monstrous pet. Received a special award for services to the school. But I've cross-referenced some newspaper articles from that time. The attack stopped immediately after Riddle implicated Hagrid. Almost too immediately. And Riddle, despite his brilliance, seemed to vanish after Hogwarts, only to become a shadowy, malevolent figure much later, Lord Voldemort." She looked at Cal, her eyes wide with dawning horror. What if Riddle wasn't the hero? What if he was the heir? A jolt went through Cal. His psychometry had hinted at a manipulator, a charmer who twisted history. This made terrifying sense. His name, I feel a profound darkness connected to it. A darkness that twists and deceives. He frowned. Do you know where he might have left something behind? Something that could hold his memories. Elara bit her lip, thinking hard. Students often leave things, prized possessions, or even just journals. Hogwarts has many forgotten corners. Her gaze flickered to the side, towards a corner of the library that held older, more personal accounts, diaries, and memoirs donated by former students. But I recall a rumor from the time of the previous attacks about a diary. She started gathering her notes, a newfound urgency in her movements. A diary that was supposedly found and destroyed. But in a place like Hogwarts, destroyed is often relative. Especially if it held significant magic or, as you say, a powerful conviction. Cal felt a surge of adrenaline. A diary. A personal object. That would be a direct link, a potent trigger for his psychometry. If Riddle was the heir, then his diary might hold the true story, the full extent of Slytherin's plan, and the key to stopping it. Where would such a diary be found? Or hidden again? Elara stood, her research skills already formulating a plan. If it was destroyed, it would likely be disposed of quickly, possibly in a place that could obscure any magical residue. The staff bathrooms, perhaps, or even the dreaded Moaning Myrtle's toilet. She shuddered slightly at the mention of the ghost. That bathroom is seldom used, and plumbing can carry away a multitude of secrets. Cal's mind raced. A bathroom, a place of concealment, a lingering presence. His psychometric senses were already tingling, pointing him towards the lower levels of the castle, towards the forgotten plumbing, towards the echo of despair. That's where we start, he said, a new resolve hardening his voice. We need to find that diary. And we need to find it before someone else does. Elara nodded, her initial academic curiosity now replaced by a serious determination. Agreed. But getting into the girls' bathroom, especially Myrtle's, it won't be easy. And even if we find it, what then? Then, Cal said, his hand unconsciously dropping to the hilt of his dormant lightsaber, we learn the truth. The stale air of the second-floor girls' lavatory was thick with the scent of damp stone and despair. Peeve's latest prank had shattered a mirror near the entrance, leaving shimmering shards across the grimy floor. Cal, accompanied by a resolute Elara, stepped carefully over them. The endless sobbing of Moaning Myrtle, a spectral presence only wizards seemed to acknowledge, echoed around the cavernous space. Are you sure this is it, Elara? Cal whispered, his voice hushed against the mournful wails. He could feel a faint tremor in the force here, an ancient, almost metallic hum beneath the floorboards, different from the ambient magical energy of the castle. It felt like a dormant power waiting. Elara, clutching a heavy leather-bound book to her chest, nodded, her spectacles slipping down her nose. My research, combined with your unique senses, points here. The legend speaks of a hidden entrance. And Myrtle, well, she's always around the most unfortunate incidents, isn't she? Her gaze swept over the dilapidated stalls, the tarnished bronze taps, and the central sink with its peculiar, crudely scratched serpent emblem. Cal's eyes narrowed, drawn to the serpent. He reached out with the force, not to push or pull, but to sense. He could feel the intricate pathways of magic, an ancient ward woven into the metal itself. It wasn't just a decoration, it was a key. He could feel the absence of something, a missing vibration, a specific frequency that would unlock it. He closed his eyes, centering himself. The force flowed through him, a river of awareness. He felt the echo of pressure, the ghost of a sound, the intent of a command. There's a resonance, he murmured, his fingers brushing the cold bronze. A specific vibration needed. Not a physical touch, but a command of sound. He recalled Elara's earlier frantic whisper about Parseltongue, the language of snakes. How could he replicate a sound he didn't know? Elara gasped, her eyes wide. Parseltongue. You're sensing the command for Parseltongue. That's how Salazar Slytherin, but you don't speak it, do you? Cal shook his head. No. But the force, it feels the pattern of the command, the intent behind it. It's like feeling the shape of a key, even if you don't know what the lock looks like. He extended his hand again, focusing not on the serpent, but on the air around it, on the latent magic that had once responded to the serpent's speech. He didn't try to speak, but to mimic the felt resonance with the force itself, subtly manipulating the magical energy in the air, coaxing it into the pattern he perceived. A low, guttural hiss seemed to emanate not from his throat, but from the very air around his fingertips. It wasn't a sound he made, but one he catalyzed. The bronze serpent's eyes, dull and lifeless a moment before, glowed with a faint, sickly green light. The sink began to rumble, then churn, slowly grinding downwards and retracting into the floor, revealing a dark, vertical pipe, wide enough for a person to slide through. A profound chill, colder than the deepest dungeon, rose from the depths. You opened it, Alara breathed, her voice a mixture of awe and fear. Without parcel tongue. That's impossible. Cal didn't answer. The moment the entrance opened, a wave of profound, ancient psychometric energy slammed into him. It wasn't just the residue of magic, it was the imprint of a powerful, controlling mind, an almost tangible darkness that had seeped into the very stone. He stumbled back, his hand flying to his temple, as a torrent of images and sensations flooded his consciousness. He was standing in a grand, dimly lit chamber adorned with magnificent green banners. A tall, impeccably dressed young man with dark, piercing eyes and a charming, confident smile stood before him. This was Tom Riddle, but younger, vibrant, full of a self-assured charisma that belied the cold dread Cal now felt. The air returns, Riddle's voice, silky and resonant, echoed in Cal's mind, though Riddle's lips didn't move. Such a privilege to witness the final steps of my illustrious ancestors' vision. The vision shifted. Cal saw fragments of Hogwarts' early days. He saw Salazar Slytherin, a figure of stern, aristocratic bearing, arguing fiercely with the other founders. Mudbloods taint our halls. Their ignorance, their weakness, will dilute the purity of magic itself. Slytherin's voice, a furious, disdainful snarl, overlaid Riddle's earlier smooth tones. A true wizard knows the sacred lineage, the power that flows in pure blood. They must be purged for the good of all. Cal felt a surge of revulsion. This was the narrative Riddle wanted to present, Slytherin as a misguided but ultimately noble visionary, seeking to protect magic. But through the force, Cal felt the venom beneath the words, the searing hatred, the utter contempt for anyone deemed unworthy. It wasn't protection, it was bigotry, pure and unadulterated. The force screamed deception. The vision continued, manipulated by Riddle's powerful memory imprint. Cal saw a younger Riddle poring over ancient texts, his brow furrowed in intense study. Then, the exhilaration of discovery, the thrill of finding the chamber. My ancestor was a genius, a prophet. Riddle's voice swelled with triumph. He foresaw this decline, this infestation. But he also left the means to rectify it. A chamber, hidden away for centuries, guarding the perfect weapon. Cal felt the chilling satisfaction emanating from Riddle in the vision. He saw the gleam in Riddle's eyes, not of righteousness, but of cold, calculating power. Riddle's memories twisted the truth, portraying his own actions as a glorious continuation of Slytherin's legacy, a necessary cleansing. The scene fractured, showing images of terrified students, their eyes wide with fear as a shadowy, serpentine figure darted through the castle's pipes. Then, the horror of first-year students petrified, their faces frozen in silent screams. A regrettable necessity, Riddle's voice hummed, devoid of true remorse. A small sacrifice for the greater good. The fear itself strengthens the resolve of those who truly understand. It separates the wheat from the chaff. Cal's psychometry intensified, showing him glimpses of the basilisk itself, its enormous coils, its deadly gaze, but always through the filter of Riddle's smug satisfaction, its power wielded with a chilling detachment. He felt the sheer force of Riddle's will, the deep-seated narcissism, and the conviction that he was utterly justified in his actions. He saw Riddle, later, standing over the dead body of a girl, Myrtle. A flicker of something akin to annoyance crossed Riddle's face in the vision, not horror. A minor setback. The chamber's purpose was revealed too soon. But the knowledge is mine. The power will be mine. The final, most disturbing images began to coalesce. Ginny Weasley, pale and gaunt, her hand clutching a small, dark diary. Cal felt a sickening jolt of recognition and dread. Riddle's essence, his very soul, was tied to that book. And it was draining Ginny. The girl is merely a vessel, Riddle's voice echoed, tinged with a cruel glee. Her emotions, her fears, her very life force, all fuel for my return. The chamber will be reopened, the monster unleashed, and finally, my work will be complete. A new era, forged in fear and pure blood, will begin. The vision snapped, leaving Cal gasping, clutching his head, the taste of ash in his mouth. He blinked, finding himself back in the desolate bathroom, the open pipe yawning before him. Elara was kneeling beside him, her hand tentative on his arm, her face a mask of concern. "Cal, what did you see?" "You went utterly still, your eyes, they were unfocused." "What happened?" Cal pushed himself up, his mind reeling. He looked at Elara, then back at the dark pipe. "It wasn't just memories, Elara," he said, his voice hoarse. "It was a story. Tom Riddle's story. But it's a lie. A carefully constructed lie. He sees himself as an heir, as a savior, fulfilling Slytherin's grand design to cleanse the school. But it's all just hatred, ambition, and murder dressed up as destiny." He swallowed hard. And Ginny Weasley, she's not just a victim. She's being used. The diary, it's feeding on her. He plans to come back, to finish what he started. A profound sense of urgency, sharper than any he'd felt since the Order 66, settled deep in Cal's gut. The darkness in the castle wasn't a lingering echo, it was an active, malevolent force, using a child as a puppet. He had to go down there. He had to stop him. Before it was too late. He looked at the ominous, gaping maw of the pipe, feeling the oppressive cold radiating from it, knowing that whatever lay at the bottom, it was not merely a monster, but a fragment of a very dangerous, very manipulative mind. He had to confront the ghost of a ghost. The air in the great hall, usually a comforting blend of roasting food and cheerful chatter, had grown thick with apprehension. Another petrification. This time, it was a Hufflepuff, found near the library. Cal felt the subtle tremor of fear ripple through the students, a cold, cloying presence that clung to the castle walls. His own anxiety, a constant companion since Order 66, intensified. The echoes in his mind screamed urgency. He found Elara in their usual clandestine spot, a forgotten alcove behind a tapestry depicting a rather disgruntled-looking centaur. She was surrounded by a precarious stack of ancient tomes, spectacles perched on her nose, a quill hovering over a roll of parchment. "Another one," Cal stated, his voice low. Elara didn't look up immediately, her brow furrowed in concentration. "I heard. The whispers are getting louder. People are talking about expulsion, about closing Hogwarts." She finally lifted her gaze, her blue eyes sharp with concern. "Did you sense anything new?" Cal nodded, leaning against the cold stone wall, the ancient magic of the castle a persistent thrum against his forced senses. "More than a sense. A memory. After I used the Force to open the chamber, I touched the entrance itself. The psychometry, it wasn't just seeing a memory, Elara. It was feeling Riddle's manipulation. His charm, yes, but underneath it, a seething hatred, a cold contempt for anyone he deemed unworthy, and a profound sense of self-aggrandizement. He doesn't just want to purge the castle, he wants to be remembered for it. He wants power." Elara pushed her spectacles up her nose. "That aligns. I've been digging into the deeper lore surrounding Salazar Slytherin. Not just the popular accounts, but the truly dark interpretations. Slytherin wasn't just a pure-blood fanatic. He was obsessed with control, with purity of bloodline as a form of power. He believed he had the right to rule over lesser wizards, to cleanse the world of their taint. Riddle is his mirror image, a culmination of that twisted ideology." She gestured to an open book with faded, intricate illustrations. "This text, it's almost mythical. The Serpent's Gaze, a compendium of legendary beasts. It speaks of basilisks. Cal's breath hitched. Basilisks? The name alone felt heavy ancient. A king of serpents, Alara explained, tracing a finger over a crude drawing of a colossal snake with malevolent, burning eyes. Born from a chicken's egg hatched under a toad. Its venom is lethal, but its most infamous weapon is its gaze. Direct eye contact brings instant death. Indirect contact, through a reflection or a ghost, causes petrification. Cal felt a jolt. Petrification. That's it, he murmured, his psychometry flaring at the connection. The petrified victims. The look on their faces isn't fear of death, but of something else, a primal horror, but frozen. And the camera, the Myrtle girl, Nick, it all fits. A reflection. He remembered the unsettling feeling of the scarf, the lingering trauma without the finality of death. A creature with such power, it explains why magic hasn't simply stopped it. Exactly, Alara agreed, her eyes gleaming with the thrill of discovery despite the grim subject. Most protective charms are designed for direct magical assault or physical threats. But a gaze, that's harder to counter. And if the basilisk is truly ancient, a relic of Slytherin himself, it would be immensely powerful. Riddle's plan, Cal mused, pacing the small alcove. He's not just using it. He's growing from it. The diary, when I touched it, it felt cold, empty at first, then I felt a faint spark of something, like a hunger. He's draining the life force, the energy of the victims, probably through the one controlling it, making himself stronger. Alara slammed a book shut, a grim realization dawning on her face. Ginny Weasley. She's been acting strangely. Distracted, exhausted. She carries that diary everywhere. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He's using her. He's feeding on her emotional vulnerability, her fear, her magic. The creature is his weapon, but Ginny, she's his unwitting conduit. A sudden chill swept through the alcove, not from the draft, but from Cal's heightened force sense. A distant scream, quickly muffled, echoed in his mind. Then silence. But it was a heavy, unnatural silence, pregnant with dread. He closed his eyes, extending his awareness. He felt a presence, faint but unmistakable, a child's terror, fading fast, pulled into a deeper darkness. He's taken her, Cal stated, his voice stark, devoid of emotion, the force in him now a roaring torrent. Ginny. She's gone into the chamber. Alara gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. We have to tell Dumbledore. No time, Cal said, already moving. He'll send teachers. It'll be too slow. Riddle's getting stronger with every passing moment. We have to go now. He felt the familiar hum of his lightsaber hilt, hidden beneath his robes. He hadn't pulled it out since arriving in this world, fearing exposure. But now, his goal wasn't secrecy, it was protection. They raced through the deserted corridors. Cal's force-enhanced senses picked up a faint trail, a lingering echo of Ginny's fear, leading them down to the girls' bathroom on the second floor. Myrtle's mournful wails filled the air. Oh, it's just awful, she sobbed, floating agitatedly near a particularly grimy sink. A huge, scaly thing. And she left this behind. Myrtle pointed a translucent finger at a tattered, crimson book lying on the wet floor. Tom Riddle's diary. Cal bent down, his hand hovering over the diary. His psychometry flared violently. A torrent of images assaulted him. Ginny's tear-streaked face, writing frantically, her joy turning to despair, her memories blurring, being consumed. He saw Riddle's spectral form, growing more solid, his smirk chilling, his eyes glinting with malicious triumph. He saw the basilisk, its massive form uncoiling, its eyes burning like emerald hellfire. And through it all, the overwhelming hunger, the ambition, the ultimate plan for Riddle's full resurrection through Ginny's stolen life force. He's almost complete, Cal whispered, pulling his hand away from the foul object as if burned. He's going to use her to fully restore himself. Alara looked sick, but her resolve hardened. How do we stop something that kills with a glance? Cal's mind raced. He had to think like a Jedi. Agility, not brute force. Distraction. The Force, his lightsaber. But how to counter the gaze? Reflections, he said, remembering Alara's explanation. Indirect gaze causes petrification. Direct gaze kills. If we avoid direct eye contact. But how? Alara countered, looking around the empty bathroom. We don't have mirrors large enough. And even then, it would just petrify us. Suddenly, a thought struck Cal, a spark of inspiration from his training. My fourth sense, he explained, it lets me perceive the world differently. I can sense the creature's presence, its intent, without needing my eyes. It won't be perfect, but it might give me an edge. And for you. He looked around, his gaze falling on the polished copper pipes lining the bathroom walls. We can try to use reflections from that. Or, if there's water, use the reflections from the water. It was a desperate plan, but it was their only chance. He approached the marked sink, the ancient serpent engraving now seeming to pulse with dark energy. He placed his hands on the cold brass. He focused, not on magic, but on the intricate patterns of the force within the metal, feeling the hidden mechanisms, the subtle shifts required. He channeled a focused surge of the force, a precise push, and with a grinding groan of stone, the sink began to retract, revealing a dark, gaping hole. A chill wind, smelling of damp earth and something ancient and reptilian, wafted up from the darkness. Ready? Cal asked Alara, his hand instinctively going to his lightsaber. The familiar weight was a comfort, a link to who he was. Alara took a deep breath, her eyes wide but firm. As I'll ever be. Just be careful, Cal. I'll cover your back any way I can. She held up her wand, its tip glowing faintly with a ready Lumos charm. I might not be able to fight a basilisk, but I can distract it, blind it with light, or conjure a barrier if needed. Cal nodded, a surge of gratitude for her unexpected bravery warming him. Good. Stay behind me. And don't look directly at anything unless I tell you. He knew this was it. His past, his fears, his training, everything led to this moment. He had to protect Ginny. He had to face this ancient evil. He was no longer just a survivor on the run. He was a protector. He was a Jedi. Without another word, Cal Kestis stepped into the darkness, the Force his guide, his lightsaber ready to ignite, preparing for a confrontation with a power unlike any he had ever faced. The echoes of Salazar Slytherin and Tom Riddle waited for him below. The colossal, serpentine mouth of the Chamber of Secrets hissed open, the stone grinding like 1,000 grinding teeth. Cal Kestis stood at the precipice, the air thick with the scent of damp earth, ancient magic, and something far more sinister. Fear, cold and sharp, tried to prickle at his resolve, but Cal pushed it down. He was a survivor. This was just another dark corner to navigate. He descended into the gloom, relying on the Force to guide his steps. The passage was slick and winding, the silence absolute, save for the drip of water and the thud of his own heart. His psychometry screamed with latent energy down here, a cacophony of fear, hatred, and manipulation woven into the very stones. He felt the cold touch of Salazar Slytherin's enduring malevolence, but more acutely, the recent, potent resonance of Tom Riddle's twisted will. The tunnel opened into a vast, cavernous hall. Towering pillars carved with intertwining serpents vanished into the darkness above, casting long, slithering shadows that seemed to coil and writhe on their own. In the center, a monumental statue of Salazar Slytherin loomed, its severe face carved from ancient stone, eyes hollow and dark. And at its base, crumpled and pale, lay Ginny Weasley. A phantom figure, shimmering with an ethereal glow, stood over her. Tom Riddle. So you found your way, Riddle's voice echoed, smooth as polished obsidian, yet laced with an ancient, chilling power. His eyes, though translucent, burned with an unnatural intensity. I must confess, I hadn't expected you. Your presence. It's a discordant note in this symphony. A magic I don't recognize, yet one that vibrates with an interesting potential. Cal's psychometry surged, lashing out at Riddle's ethereal form. He saw flashes of memory, a charming boy manipulating students, a cruel smile as he unleashed the basilisk decades ago, a fragment of a soul tearing itself apart. Riddle was a construct, an echo given form by Ginny's failing life force and the power of the diary, but the malevolence was real, profoundly so. "You're poisoning her," Cal accused, his voice firm, though a tremor of exhaustion ran through him. He focused on Ginny, sensing her life force dwindling, like a candle flickering in a draft. Riddle chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. "She willingly poured her heart into my pages. I merely absorbed her anxieties, her hopes, her fear. It nourished me, just as it will nourish my return to flesh and blood. And when I am whole, Salazar Slytherin's legacy will finally be complete. A pure-blood Hogwarts, cleansed of the undesirables. Starting with the likes of you, I imagine." As Riddle spoke, Cal saw the truth behind the polished words. This was not just about blood purity, it was about power, control, and a horrifying narcissism that sought to dominate and twist everything it touched. He didn't care about magic, only about himself. "Not on my watch," Cal growled, taking a step forward. He reached out with the force, a subtle push, trying to disrupt Riddle's connection to Ginny. Riddle merely sneered. "Such a quaint little trick. You think to stop me with parlor games? You cannot defeat what you cannot comprehend. Ginny is almost gone. Soon, I will be truly alive, and you will be merely a curiosity for my pet." A low rumble shook the cavern. From the maw of Salazar Slytherin's statue, a colossal, serpentine head began to emerge. Scales, emerald green and shimmering, reflected the faint light. Its eyes, the size of dinner plates, glowed with an eerie, blinding yellow. The basilisk. Cal didn't need to look directly at it. The sheer presence of the creature was enough to freeze the blood in his veins. He felt its killing intent, a wave of lethal energy radiating from its gaze. "Behold, the heir of Slytherin's true weapon." Riddle's voice boomed, filled with triumphant malice. Cal instinctively closed his eyes, then flickered them open, focusing on the peripheral vision, on the shadows cast by the pillars, on the ripples in the damp floor. He could not look directly, but he could feel. He reached for the hilt of his lightsaber, a familiar comfort against the alien threat. This world was different, but fear and death were universal. The basilisk lunged, its massive body uncoiling from the statue with terrifying speed. Cal dove sideways, a blur of motion, the creature's head slamming into the pillar where he'd stood moments before, sending a shower of stone dust raining down. "Your agility is impressive," Riddle observed, "but even your strange talents cannot save you from the gaze of a basilisk." Cal opened his eyes just enough to perceive the creature's shape, its movements, its immense mass as it turned, slithering across the cavern floor. He trusted the force. He extended his hand, pushing with all his might. The basilisk, caught off guard, stumbled, its head momentarily diverted from him. It was enough. With a snap hiss, the familiar hum filled the ancient chamber. A blade of brilliant azure light sprung from Cal's hilt, illuminating the cavern with an otherworldly glow. The basilisk recoiled, a low, guttural growl rumbling in its chest. Riddle gasped, his ethereal form flickering. What in the name of Merlin is that?" Riddle shrieked, his composure shattering. "Impossible. Such a weapon. It's not magic." Cal ignored him. He was no longer just Cal Kestis, the frightened survivor. He was a Padawan, a protector, facing down a monster. He held his lightsaber defensively, its hum a steady thrum against the chaos. The basilisk, recovering from its initial shock, hissed aggressively. It recognized the threat. This wasn't merely a boy. This was something dangerous. It lunged again, jaws agape, revealing rows of venomous fangs. Cal met the charge. He didn't try to parry the massive head. He aimed for the weakest points. With a grunt, he ducked under a snapping maw, the lightsaber a blue blur as he swung, not at its eyes, but at the underbelly, the fleshy, softer scales. The blade met resistance, but it was enough to score a deep gash, eliciting a roar of pain from the creature. The basilisk thrashed, its tail sweeping across the cavern, splintering stone. Cal used the force to leap onto a crumbling pillar, narrowly avoiding the impact. He could feel the creature's rage, its primal instincts overriding any residual control Riddle might have had over it. He needed to blind it. He had to. He closed his eyes again, relying purely on the force. He felt the basilisk's immense bulk shift, heard the rasp of its scales on stone, sensed the intense heat and pressure radiating from its deadly eyes. It was turning towards him, preparing for another strike. This is it, Cal thought, his mind racing. He needed a distraction, something to expose its vulnerability. He focused, drawing on the force, pulling on the debris scattered around the floor. Ancient stones, jagged and heavy, lifted into the air, swirling around him. "Fool!" Riddle shrieked. "Your pathetic tricks are useless." As the basilisk launched forward, Cal sent the debris hurtling towards its head, a storm of stone shrapnel. The creature instinctively flinched, its head turning slightly to deflect the assault, just for a fraction of a second. It was all Cal needed. He pushed off the pillar, a force-enhanced leap carrying him high above the basilisk's head. Midair, with a powerful, guttural cry, he brought the lightsaber down with both hands. Not on its eyes, but just behind them, where the thick scales met the softer tissue of its neck, a vital junction. The blade sliced through, not severing the head, but severing a crucial nerve cluster. The basilisk roared, a sound of unimaginable agony. It thrashed blindly, its head flopping erratically, its eyes still glowing but now unfocused, sightless. It crashed against the pillars, convulsing violently, until with a final, shuddering tremor, the colossal beast collapsed into a lifeless heap. The cavern fell silent, save for the hum of Cal's lightsaber and his own ragged breathing. The air still thrummed with residual darkness, but the immediate, crushing threat was gone. Riddle stared, his ethereal form trembling, his face contorted in disbelief and raw fury. You destroyed it. My greatest weapon. How dare you? You don't understand. This is my legacy. Cal walked towards him, his lightsaber still blazing. It's over, Riddle. You're done hurting people. He looked at Ginny, her face ashen, barely breathing. The dark magic that had been draining her was beginning to recede. Riddle let out a chilling, high-pitched scream. You cannot destroy me. I am immortal. I am the greatest wizard Hogwarts has ever known. He lunged, a desperate, translucent claw reaching for Cal. Cal didn't flinch. He brought the lightsaber down, aiming for the diary lying beside Ginny. The moment the blade touched the leather-bound book, a deafening shriek tore through the chamber. Riddle's form contorted, a horrifying spectacle of anguish and rage, before he dissolved into nothingness, his screams fading into the ancient stone. The diary hissed, then began to smoke, then burn, consumed by the pure energy of the lightsaber. When Cal lifted his blade, only a heap of charred ash remained. The light in the cavern seemed to brighten slightly, as if a great weight had been lifted. Cal extinguished his lightsaber, the comforting hum replaced by the silence. He knelt beside Ginny, gently placing a hand on her forehead. The force flowed through him, not to heal her instantly, but to stabilize her, to push back the lingering dark energies. She stirred, a faint flutter of her eyelids. He had done it. He had saved her. He had faced down an ancient evil, not as a wizard, but as a Jedi. The fear was still there, a ghost in his periphery, but it was overshadowed by a profound sense of purpose. He was a protector, here or anywhere else the Force might take him. He gently lifted Ginny into his arms, feeling her small, fragile weight. He had to get her out of here, back to safety. The long climb back up awaited him, but as he looked around the silent, now empty chamber, Cal Kestis felt a nascent strength, a new identity beginning to take root in the heart of this strange, magical world. His secret might be revealed, his past might still haunt him, but for the first time in a long time, he knew exactly where he stood. And he knew he wasn't alone. Someone would be waiting. Someone, perhaps, who already knew more than she let on.